Sergeant First Class Ethan Cole stood at Gate C-23 of Atlanta International Airport, dressed in the crisp ceremonial uniform of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. The summer heat hadn't yet touched the terminal, but beads of sweat gathered at the edge of his neck. He was carrying precious cargo, the remains of Lance Corporal Jake Merritt, a 21-year-old Marine who had fallen in the line of duty in Afghanistan just 2 weeks prior. Ethan wasn't just any escort. He was a sentinel of the tomb of the unknown soldier, one of the most revered honors in the military. When he had been asked to accompany Jake's body home to Iowa, he didn't hesitate. Not just because it was duty, but because Jake had once stood in front of Ethan after a tour of Arlington Cemetery, eyes wide with admiration, saying, "Maybe someday I'll be like you." Now Jake was coming home, draped in the flag he'd sworn to protect. As Ethan approached the gate agent to confirm final preparations, he noticed the woman frown slightly, eyes skimming his uniform. "I'm sorry, sir," she said slowly. "There's a delay. We can't board the casket until the situation is cleared with security. There are questions." Ethan blinked. "Questions?" 2 TSA agents appeared. "Sir, we need to ask you to step aside." A quiet murmur rippled through the passengers nearby. Some glanced up, others pulled out phones. A child asked, "Mommy, is he in trouble?" Ethan didn't flinch. "Gentlemen," he said calmly, "I'm on orders. You can call Colonel Braddock at Arlington if you need confirmation." But they didn't call. Not yet. Instead, they led him to a holding room. The casket remained on the tarmac, unattended. Time passed. Questions were asked. Documents were examined and re-examined. A young supervisor, clearly nervous, kept apologizing, but claimed it was protocol. Ethan sat still, every muscle tight, not for himself, for Jake. Then a miracle happened. A man in civilian clothes walked into the room, silent and imposing, with the unmistakable gait of a general. Behind him, a group of veterans who'd been waiting to board the same flight had gathered outside the glass. One of them had made a call. The general looked at the staff, his voice low and steady. "Do you know who this man is? Do you know who he's escorting?" The room fell silent. Then he turned to Ethan. "Sergeant Cole, I deeply apologize. You and Lance Corporal Merritt will board now, and you will receive the honors you both deserve." What followed would stay with every passenger forever. As Ethan walked back to the gate, every single person stood. Hats were removed. Hands went over hearts. Even the flight crew saluted. And when the casket was brought aboard, draped in the flag, accompanied by silence, tears filled the eyes of even the most hardened travelers. But what no one knew yet was that this was only the beginning. The hum of the airplane faded into silence as the aircraft ascended through clouds lit by the golden light of evening. Sergeant First Class Ethan Cole sat upright in his seat, his military posture unwavering, even as exhaustion clawed at his eyes. Next to him, separated by a respectful gap and a velvet-draped aisle, rested the flag-covered casket of Lance Corporal Jake Merritt. Most of the cabin sat in reverent silence. There were no drink orders, no idle conversations. Something sacred had taken hold since the ceremony at the gate. Word had spread, somehow. A fallen Marine, a tomb guard escorting him, the delay, the apology, the way the entire gate had risen in tribute. Ethan stared forward, his mind looping through memories. Jake's face, young, full of promise, a smile that disarmed even the hardest drill sergeant. The kid who wrote poetry in a tattered green notebook during deployments. The moment Jake's mother had called him sobbing, asking if he would bring her son home. Ethan hadn't cried in uniform since boot camp. He nearly did then. Now, 30,000 feet in the air, his gloved hand rested gently on the edge of the flag. A subtle motion, almost a prayer. Suddenly, a voice spoke beside him. "Sir," it was the flight attendant from earlier, a middle-aged woman with graying hair and kind eyes. We noticed something tucked beneath the folds of the flag. During transfer, we didn't touch it, but we thought, you might want to see it. Ethan furrowed his brow. Carefully, he rose and gently pulled back a corner of the flag, revealing a small envelope, tucked tightly into one of the creases. It was addressed simply, "For the one who brings me home." Heart-pounding, Ethan opened it with gloved hands. Inside was a handwritten letter. The ink smudged slightly in places, the handwriting jagged but earnest. "Dear Tomb Guard, if you're reading this, then I didn't make it. First of all, thank you. I don't know your name, but I know your purpose. I saw you once walking your watch at Arlington. 21 steps, 21 seconds. No matter the rain or sun, you never broke focus. You taught me that some things are bigger than us. Duty, sacrifice, honor. I want you to know I wasn't afraid when it happened. I wasn't alone. My brothers were with me. We were laughing 5 minutes before the blast. Stupid jokes, the kind that only make sense out there. Please tell my mom I remembered her voice. Tell my little sister I'm still her biggest fan. And tell America I was proud. One last thing. When you carry me off that plane, walk slow. Let them see. Not for me, but for the ones who never came back. For the ones who wait at kitchen tables with empty chairs. And when you stand over my grave, if you do, don't salute because I was a hero. Salute because I was willing. With love, Jake Ethans. Throat tightened. The letter trembled in his hands. He didn't say a word. Instead, he folded the letter with reverence, returned it to the envelope, and placed it inside his jacket, close to his heart. The plane continued its course westward. Outside, the sun dipped below the clouds like a slow farewell. But for everyone on board, the journey had changed. And for Ethan, this mission had just become personal in a way he hadn't anticipated.